What is up, you guys? We're back with another video. Today we got a pretty short video, pretty quick video. It's about the S7 that I had worked on previously, which is my brother's car. We're gonna be changing the auxiliary pump, which is this guy, right? Because he has no heat, and obviously it's getting cold here in Chicago, so we need heat. This little guy is pretty much what pulls some of the coolant away from the engine block to be able to send it inside the heater core, and his failed. So we got the SE here in the garage. We're gonna pull it out, bring in the S7, and then we'll continue on. We got the S7 in the shop, so now we're gonna continue on about replacing this little expensive ass pump. This pump was about $200 OEM. They do have aftermarket versions, however, considering that, you know, the car has 150,000 miles and anything can fail at this point because of it higher in mileage, plus it's about 11 years old because it's from 2013. Go ahead and take care of it and just do an OEM pump because they last a pretty good time, obviously. Why this one failed, I'm really not sure. It's just dead, you know. There's this top cover here that you're gonna want to lift up and pull off. It's pretty simple. Just be very careful, obviously, because right here there is a air duct, and you're just gonna pull it off, and it comes off like so, very easily. You're gonna set this aside, and then that exposes the whole cabin area. And most of the time the pumps that I'm talking about is that guy right there, that pump. As you can see, it goes into the heater core, the firewall, which is right there. Obviously, when I tried to see if it was moving water at all, it wasn't, and it wasn't even pulling water away, so there was no way for me to actually try and siphon some water out. I mean, the pump wasn't even activating at all. So it's pretty simple to replace this. You know, you just unbolt it, or I think you can move it. I think it's movable. Lift it up, replace it with the two hose clamps, one that goes here, one goes here, and then obviously we're going to want to remove the return line to make sure water goes into the heater core, pumps right out. See my SA. I am selling my truck. We got something in surprise later on, but man, it just looks so good. Love the way it sits. But she destroyed the front lip that hasn't even been on for not even at least a month. And then something happened. I don't know if she was at the grocery store or when she was at the store, but someone hit, you could see someone hit it real lightly and cracked the headlight here in the bottom, and obviously we have condensation in there, so we're gonna have to get a new headlight, which are so fucking expensive, from Audi. But let's close the garage because it is a little chilly out here. It's 54 degrees, and I'll set up the camera and we'll get started. It's been some time now since I delivered this car to my brother, and obviously I just want to overlook everything and review everything, make sure there's no issue with it now that it's here, and everything for fuel line looks great. No leaks at all. Turbos look great. That's good. Still waiting for those turbos to come in, the FE stage 2s. They're dragging a little bit, but it's all worth it in the end. So we're gonna have to replace this pump, and we'll get started pretty shortly. The crazy part is that this whole car is aluminum, so there's really nothing to, you know, if you have a magnetic light or something, unless you go off based off the downpipes, but that's away. Oh, the wiper blade as well. Wiper blade works. Here's that new pump that we need, and there's the part number in case anybody is curious if yours is very similar. This one does have a 3-pin connector, as you can see, and then arrows for outlet, and then obviously the circulation is for inlet going in. So it's personal preference if you want to take this off or not. I'm gonna take it off just to give you guys more space so that you can see. One more nut. they're all 10 mils. There is one right here, and then we have 2 on the left, so 3 bolts total. So you're gonna move that aside. I have a big cavity here now to work with, and this is just for the fresh air, you know, for your HVAC, so that you can have some fresh air from outside. And then obviously if you want to recirculate, you can. And it's just a flapper door here. As you can see, it's just a flapper door. Obviously don't move the motor like I did. You can inspect your blower motor, and then there's a filter down there inside as well, but don't do that because you can mess up the motor itself. Listen, there's these 2 tabs. You know, if you're just gonna turn it so that you can pop it off, and you can move it to the side. So now we have the pump here that's buried in some foam, the inlet that's gonna come in from the engine block, and then the outlet right here. So you're gonna pop this tab off to get the connector loose, press it, and then you can slide it down. Same shit, you know, just be careful because this one inserts, it has a male end, and you can actually break this when you're finicking with it too much. You can break it very easily. So a bracket that holds onto the pump like so, but you can slide it right off just like how I did because it was not even tensioned as well. So we'll set that aside, and then obviously leaves us to the bare pump, which is what we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, put the clamps back, and then we will fire up the car, see if it's flowing, and if it is, great. Then we can purge it of whatever air is in the system, obviously, since we just created a small leak. And then test the heat, and then we should be good to go. Alright guys, so we have cleaned up the mess in here, so there's no more leaves or any stuff like that. 1, 2, 3, as you can see, a triangle shape. And obviously we have grommets down here. There's one right there. Obviously we're missing one in this hole, but then we do have a second one right there. So I'm assuming it sits like this, and then obviously it gets bolted on the other side, which is right here. And then it sits in there because I was like, why would they put the foam if this piece already has some rubber insulation to hold the, you know, actual pump in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on, and then we're able to slide this pump in there, and then obviously we'll clamp it down so that way it doesn't move anymore. So we'll put everything back the right way, although we did find it kind of fucked up, but doesn't matter. We're gonna go ahead and do it the right way because we're the last ones touching it. We're missing a grommet, so obviously if we were to sit this in there, this would be rattling like this and making a metallic noise, and obviously we don't want that because the customer's gonna be complaining. That's probably why they put that piece of foam, which is kind of stupid. So I went ahead and just put a grommet in there that I have from a grommet kit that you can order anywhere. You know, any parts store has grommet kits, and I put one in there. So now we're gonna place the bracket and then slide the pump in, tighten it up like so, because this sits like this. And when you take that nut off, obviously there's an alignment tab right there, so there's only one way you can put this. You can't fuck it up. So then you can release that tension clamp. It's going to be sitting like this. Release this tension clamp, you slide the pump right in, and then you obviously once it sits on the rubber insulator, then you can tighten it back up, and then you're good to go. Alright guys, so now that we got everything in place, as you can see, we have the pump on its bracket now. It's not going to make any noise, not going nowhere at all anymore. All we got to do is pretty much just bleed it to make sure that there's no air in the system, and it's fairly easy. All you have to do is just obviously have coolant in the system, but you're just going to take this hose off because this is the, again, if you follow the routing, this is the outlet, and it goes to the right, and then this is the return. So all you got to do is just take this clamp off and then get a pick in here to break it, the seal loose, pop this off. So now we're gonna get that process going. Now we got heat in the car, we got the new pump in. You can see 158 degrees. We were having some intermittent issues, so this is the old pump. As you can see, it is worn out like a motherfucker. This pump just ended up dying, and I don't know why. The car is from California, so it's not like they use the heat. So I bench tested this one and didn't work. We put the new pump in, obviously, still didn't work. So I was like, what the fuck is going on? I took that pump out and bench tested it. It worked. I put it back in, still didn't work. So I was like, alright, something's weird. I measured continuity for ground, short to ground, and obviously there was no continuity at all. Obviously this is the one that I used when I did HVAC, so it's just continuity right here, and the continuity is just pretty much checking to see if, I'll show you in case people don't know, but you just touch these two leads together and it should beep like so. It should beep. That means that, you know, it's sending a circuit out and it completed. So what I did was, the ground is right here. I clamped one on ground and checked my ground wire. No continuity. I was alright, cool. Let's short the ground. Let me just check for power. So switched over to voltage, and we had 12 to 13 volts, and even says it in the over the 11 app that we had supplied voltage, but we were still getting the same error code. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So then I measured, obviously your positive for the C7 should, and I think the D4s as well for S8, A8, S6, S7, blah blah blah, should be on the same side. So ground, positive. So I measured continuity from positive to our positive on the pump, and we had continuity there, and of course for the switch, which was calling. So if you look on the old pump, there's a switch, positive, and a ground, which is minus. So I had both power for the positive and the switch, which, and a good continuity, and then obviously the ground was missing. So somewhere in the wiring loom there's a short in the ground. So in the meantime, what I did was I cut the wire for the ground. Obviously this is the one that runs back to the loom, and I just grounded it out right here to this bolt. Obviously it started working, the pump started moving. We got 160 degrees of air, and it's very hot now, so that's good. That means we have heat in the car. Once water starts flowing, you put it back in, and then you clamp, not a lot, but just a little bit of pressure right here, just to build up pressure in the supply, and any air bubbles that's in the heater core will force it right out and send it right back. Now what I'm going to do is just pretty much solder a wire, a custom wire, to the ground nearby, and obviously it turns on and off when you're calling and you're not calling for heating. Obviously in the future, always showing the plus and minuses of dealing with these cars. It can be tricky, you know, when you're diagnosing, you know, when you're putting the parts, because stuff like this can happen where we know it's a brand new pump, it's OEM, it should work. We bench tested it, it does work, and all it was just a short in the wiring harness, which sucks, because now in the future we're gonna have, you know, hopefully there's no other issues, but you know, if there is with the wiring harness, then we're gonna start diving into it. But this old pump right here, which is 11 years old, it did its job, and where did it short? Who knows, you know? That's another day for another video. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. So again, I really appreciate you guys sticking around. If you made it this far, as always, I appreciate it. Give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what else you want to see, or maybe something that you saw in this video that's useful to you, or something that you want to talk shit about. I don't care. Just comment. I like to see it. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one.